You may discern the Creator in the glory of His creation, in nature around you. Precisely the beauty of nature and of the laws that rule the cosmos. Think of the construction of DNA as a double helix, or of a miracle such as the human eye, proves it is not chaos which prevails. There is a great spirit at work, creating order. In the universe, all things are but a reflection of the divine. Our mind alone is unable to comprehend God Himself, but can recognize Him as the Father of all beings from the beauty of His creations and the splendor of nature. Because the material world is a reflection of the immaterial, it can give you an idea of the divine. The visible world brings to humanity a concept of the invisible one, and the creativeness of spirit can direct toward cognizance of the invisible. In the whispering of leaves, in the splash of waves, in the murmur of the breeze, I am with you. The all-existent is in all, and we are in it. Above all, within yourself, in your immortal soul, in the spark of the divine spirit that is embedded within you, you can recognize God. The easiest way to the realization of Him is sense the divine, the eternal within yourself. Truly has it been said by the sages of old, man, know thyself, and thou shalt know God. So the divine in the human recognizes and knows the divine in nature. Where is God hidden? Within your own heart. Reverence to the Lord can be experienced only by the heart. Only inner comprehension will give subtle understanding. Nothing external replaces the filling of the heart with the Lord. Even in the most ancient times, people understood the significance of the heart. They regarded the heart as the dwelling of God. Therefore, do not search in far distance, and certainly not in heaven, but within yourself. Where shall I find God? If I search the heavens and the earth, and the waters under the earth, shall I find Him? No. But if thou wilt search the depth of thine own heart, all that thou findest of love, of beauty, of unselfishness, all that thou knowest of peace and joy, will open the path to God, and show thee the hidden places wherein thou wilt find all thou canst know and understand. Some ask, is God actually an individual being or a principle? Agni Yoga speaks of an impersonal God. What is this impersonal God? Is he not the divine, immanent and infinite principle, or the inconceivable cause of all existence? Let us remember that the consciousness of the masses always demands an individuality for worship and creates the high image in the likeness of one of its own, whereas a high consciousness always aspires to the principle in all manifestations. Therefore, we cannot consider God as being a particular incarnation or as incarnate at all. He is pure spiritual nature, without anything that is complex. He is intelligence, and at the same time the source and origin of all intelligence in nature and creation. God, who is the origin of everything, should not be considered complex, as otherwise it might appear as though the elements that have created everything considered complex existed before their very origin. The solution of the riddle is, on the one hand, God is a creature like you and me, who has worked his way up to his present position through endless efforts. On the other hand, we have already discussed, the souls become more and more ethereal and spiritual as evolution progresses. When you follow this development to the highest heights, one can imagine that there are beings at the top, so ethereal, almost devoid of matter, to such an extent pure spirit, that they are hardly distinguishable from a principle. You should not imagine God as your Father, with whom you may speak, whom you worship, and whom you can ask for help. For this, he is too far away from you. He is responsible for the entire infinite revealed universe, with its billions and billions of living beings. He cannot but delegate the task of caring for us humans to lower levels, namely the saints and Mahatmas responsible for the earth. In meditation, you may have a conversation with beings from higher spheres. If you are on the right track, you will receive support from above. Then, however, you have not to deal with God himself, but with your teacher, your spiritual father, your guardian angel, or at best a member of the brotherhood. Higher up, you should not aim. Of course, Jesus is not the Son of God. He is too far away to be the Father. As a spiritual being, God has no physical but spiritual children, that is, his co-workers of the next lower level of the hierarchy serving under him, together with whom he rules the universe. God does not even know by name this insignificant earthling Jesus, however vital his sacrifice might be for us. When Jesus speaks of his Father in heaven, he does not mean God, but the next level above himself, his teacher. May the highest be expressed by our thoughts and actions. Let us realize the divine within us. God is still far away from us. We approach Him when we start our ascent towards Him, when we acquire His qualities more and more. From nearby, we will then be better able to recognize Him. We know God by traveling the path that leads to Him, which path is ourselves. The higher you develop your heart knowledge, and the more you expand your consciousness, the more you will be able to grasp of the nature of God. The idea of God differs in different consciousnesses according to the stage of human evolution. It grows and broadens in proportion to the growth of the consciousness. Verily, one may say that there are as many conceptions of God as there are consciousnesses. We have to perfect ourselves. Only by elevating ourselves towards God can we hope to get to know Him more and more. To approach godliness is to develop the attributes of God. That soul can have no consciousness of love, wisdom, truth, or any other attribute of God, and therefore no consciousness, no knowledge of God, save insofar as each one of those attributes has been developed within it. In view of this fact, is it surprising that the higher self, that God, is such a vague, imperceptible, shadowy being in the minds of the majority of people, when the attributes of God, and like attributes in man, meet and mingle, there will be no separation between God and man. Like the truly married, the twain have become one. Ultimately, we can only understand the nature of God to the extent that we ourselves have become a God. To truly know, we must become the thing we wish to know. Only God can create an image of God. Only God can see God. Personal knowledge of God predicates equality with God, for only one on an equality with another can truly know that other, whether that one be God or man. The law of correspondence says, the highest is accessible only to the highest. At the end of this broadcasting, let us deepen the understanding of God by one last step. We had already said, life is eternal movement. Only eternal motion gives life to all forms. there is no standstill in the cosmos. Standstill is death. There can be no stagnation in eternity. All is in motion, in the striving toward perfection. It is of the utmost importance that you realize, in a universe evolving infinitely, there is no limit, and thus no state of perfection. Nothing is finite, nothing is immovable. In completion, there is death. Accordingly, you should not think of God as static. If he is supposed to be not an abstraction, but a living reality, he too must evolve and move up to even greater heights. Thus, the top of the pyramid does not rest immobile on the steps below, but moves itself further upwards. From this picture, it becomes clear. The lower layers must incessantly follow the higher ones in their constant upward movement. If we stop moving, we shall lose the connection and detach ourselves more and more from the leadership and the ever-advancing evolution. Then the worlds are separated, and man, in which the worlds unite, is torn apart. When the higher world is striving upward and mankind propels itself downward, then indeed the cosmic current cannot be realized. Therefore, disharmony rules in the world.